Hey up lads and lasses, Danfire here, back again with some more GR2 content for you today. So we're going to go through a new monster build, as my old one is old and needs updating, so it's still okay, it works, and it does pretty good damage, but we have a new build, courtesy of Boom, I believe, is the first person to figure this build out, so we'll be showing that off today, and thanks to him for finding this build. And we also have all the subsystems for the monsters, so we can go through and chat about those a little bit and what you should be aiming for and stuff like that. This build, by the way, is very cheap. My version of it anyway is. I have not got enough of purple snake and cannons to make the expensive version that Boom is running. But yeah, this is super cheap, so if you're a new player and you've just got a monster out, this is what you should be aiming for. If you're an old player and you're still running Gorse, etc. on yours, you might look into this as well. But yeah, so we'll jump into Doc even, and we have the build. So the build's running snake and cannons, a PT and a PT. The PT is obviously for fragile, giving an extra load of crit damage is just nice regardless if you're not running specific crit builds. The extra damage is fantastic. So we'll start off with the subsystems for the top. So we have the energy saving. This gives crit rate up to 20%, energy consumption down to -40%, and kinetic energy damage up to 20%. It's quite nice. Yeah, it's okay. It gives kinetic energy damage and it gives crit rate up, so it's not bad at all. We also have the precise type, and this is the crit rate up to 20%, speed up to 20%. That's projectile speed, so the distance that the projectiles move, it goes faster, basically. So they can hit things that are faster moving a little bit more easily, etc. It's not particularly useful. And hit rate up to 20%. This is accuracy, or calibration as it's called in this game. And yeah, it just gives you an increased chance of hitting your target. We then have the super heavy. This is crit rate up to 20% and crit damage up to 50%. And yeah, this is fantastic. If you're running the Gorse version of monster, that is your go-to. And last but not least, we have the super cold type, which you can see here. We have crit rate up to 20% and cooldown up to -20%. Now, this is very interesting on this build. We'll go through that a bit in a little bit later. We'll do the bottom subsystems first. But yeah, the cooldown breaks some of the mechanics in the game, apparently. But anyway, we then have for the bottom subsystems, we have the deadly type. This was the best subsystem you can potentially get, and that's kinetic energy damage up to 20%, with crit damage up to 90%. And if you're running Gorse, you can just absolutely annihilate stuff with that on your bottom subsystem. The amount of crit damage that adds is astronomical, really. Again, it's not quite as powerful as what I'm currently running, but again, we'll go into that in a bit. We also have Overload, kinetic energy damage up to 20%, crit rate up to 40%, and cooldown up to +20%. Now, be careful with this one. That cooldown up to 20% is not down, which means it's increasing the time it takes for your guns to cycle, and it's just really, really bad. This is easily the worst subsystem you can get on the bottom subsystem. We then have the final. We have the super cold type, where we have kinetic energy damage +20%, projectile energy consumption -30%, up to -30%, sorry, and projectile cooldown -20%. So this is reducing the cooldown on our weapons. Now, the way this build works, or I believe works, is not so much the cooldown on the snake and cannons, although it is nice, bring them down to 9.6 seconds instead of 11 seconds on this particular sum. This is almost maxed out, bear that in mind. I'm 0.2% off the cooldown. But it's mostly for this PT gun. 6.3 seconds. This means that if I can roll slightly better up here, get this closer to 20%, I believe it brings the cooling time on this PT gun down to 6 seconds, which means it fires every single volley. And what that means, if it's firing every single volley, is it can permanently, by itself, keep the fragile up on a target. Obviously, having a couple of extras is always a good way to go anyway, in case the ship dies. You'll want some other ones on other ships anyway, just to keep the crit damage up. And, yeah. It's ridiculous. So, as you can see, this is all blue. It's not particularly well reformed for damage. There's a bit of damage there, but it's all into the durability for the moment, for the most part. And yeah, so we have Jim on here. Jim is still the best captain in the game. He's purple as well, so he's easy to get hold of. You've got a higher chance of getting him at least anyway. And he has got his own little system within the exploration, so you can farm comms for him once you have him and get him up and get his favor up. Plugins. I've managed to get a very, very lovely gold plugin for armor on here. I've maxed this out, giving absolute shed ton of armor on here. You have projectile damage per second increased by 78%. This is not the best one. It goes up to plus 94, but you can get the DP plugin, which is damage projectile plugin. And that gives I think the gold one gives another 10% extra damage as well, on top of plus 94 projectile damage per second, so that's pretty nuts, actually. And then a couple of mining stuff on here. If you don't want to run this in your mining fleet, just pull these off and stick in whatever you think you might want. Maybe a computer, or, for example, you might want some more energy on this, etc, etc. It's not maxed out on warship features yet, either. Shield, we have got to tier 2 on the total shield modules. You can get these up to 6. I think they must have to go to 7 to get to a total of 42 of the cost of all these, to bring you up and get you that 20% kinetic shield resistance. I'm miles off that, and yeah, that's about it. So we'll jump into trial, we'll show this off. And we'll show you how this fragile's working, because it's pretty nuts. As soon as we can get in, we'll jump straight in. There we go. You get a little bit of lag because the amount of damage it's putting out. I mean, 375,000 damage in a split second, basically. So we're at +2 at the moment. Again, we lose it here, and this is because I haven't got it quite down, but as you can see, it fired off then. I just got unlucky, and I didn't get anything, which is pretty unlucky, actually. This will probably be a bad run due to that. You can hit up to, I've personally put 2 million cumulative damage out with this build. It just takes a little bit of luck and keeping these fragiles up. I'm not getting any of that luck at the moment. But yeah, it's not bad. As you can see, we're already past my previous build's damage at 1.6. We'll probably hit 1.7-ish, maybe, just shy. But again, I have hit 2 million with this build, and it works fantastically. It really does just produce so much damage. Quite important is the damage per second. It's 30,000, whereas before I was at 20,000 using a Gorse build. And there you go, if we get 5 stacks, we get 50% extra crit damage. We're now hitting for 3k a pop, and the second minute will hit a lot more damage than the previous minute if we can keep this stack up, but we haven't, unfortunately. Anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed. I hope you found this informative. This is a fantastic monster build. It's really easy to start up with because of the cost. It's mostly blue weapons on here. So it's super, super cheap. This took a couple of weeks, I think, or maybe 3 weeks max to just max this all out. The rolls took a little bit longer to find these cooldown rolls, But as you can see, yeah, 6.3 seconds, so there's a little bit of room to be made there. I think it does come down to 6 seconds. If it hits that 6 seconds mark, it fires every single volley, because the ship will always fire its highest BR first. And if it's within 6 seconds, it will fire every single volley. And yeah, fantastic. Anyway, guys, again, hope you found this useful and informative. I hope you enjoyed this build guide. And don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Helps me out, helps the channel out. And don't forget to come check me out on Twitch on Wednesdays, 7 PM GMT, and Fridays, Saturdays, 7 PM GMT. Have a good one, guys, and I'll catch you next time.